hope now it's better. Can I be heard? Can I be heard now? I'll try to, yeah, I can be heard. I can see that now. Okay, I'll try to repeat myself. I'm sorry for that. But I'm going to talk today about one of the two main reasons that entrepreneurs say they fail for. Entrepreneurs say they fail for because there isn't a market need. And what I found out in the last 12 years, making a research with more than 120 entrepreneurs, working with them deeply, we found out that most of them, actually 114 companies out of 120 did have a market need. So why entrepreneurs think that the reason they fail is that there was no market need? Because one of two reasons. Either they're approaching the wrong customers, they don't go to look for the biggest market opportunity, or those customers that really looking for them, and they are going to those customers they think they might need the product. And a lot of times the customers that they think that might need the products are not those customers that willing to take the risk and working with somebody new or on a new product, or are not exactly those who really need that. So we always need to make some kind of search and to find out our customers. I'll talk about it in one of the next shows in one of the next weeks. However, today I want to talk about the second reason that entrepreneurs think that there isn't a market need for their products or service. The second reason is that most of you entrepreneurs are not defining your product or service in the way that your customers can find you, or in the words that they use. And you should learn, it's critical to learn to define your product or service in the right words. Okay, why is it so critical to define your product or service? And when I'm talking about defining your product or service, I'm talking about between 3 to 5 words. That between 3 to 5 words. So hi there in Twitter, it's good that you're here. Between 3 to 5 words, these are the words that should define your product. Usually we would like to write them in the tagline under our logo, or this is actually the words that when somebody will ask you, oh, what do you do? And most entrepreneurs, and I searched it with so many entrepreneurs, they can stand 20 minutes in front of their target audience and not being able to explain what they do, because they don't use the words that their target audience actually use. So what we want to do, or actually uses, what we want to do, we want to find out which words they're using. Why is it so critical to find it out? It's so critical to find it out first of all, because that's the way customers will find you. If you are not defining your product the way customers are looking for, or looking for to solve the problem, they won't find you. The second reason it's so critical to define your product or service in the right way is because we want to differentiate ourselves from our competitor. We will know exactly how customers are talking about that, and we will take ownership of the main words, but we'll have some twist that will be specifically unique for us. We will be able to differentiate ourselves from the competition. The third reason we want to attract customers is we really talk about the problem that they're talking in their language. It attracts them. They say, oh, I want to get into this site. What they offer, these 3 or 5 words that they're talking about their product or service, it interests me. It's interesting for me. I want to go to their site. So it's so important to attract customers. And the fourth reason why it's critical to define your product or service in the right way is because this is the base of our brand. We want to build a leading brand. We want to lead the market category of this problem that we are solving. With these 3 or 5 words that we want to define our product, we will actually be able in the future to lead this market with our leading brand. So how should you find how your customers are calling your product or service? The way to do that is to actually use write what words do you think, all the words that you think customers are talking about the problem that you solve. You read a lot about that. You are searching your way a lot. And you're talking with people, put the main few phrases or words that people are using when they're talking about the problem that your product or service actually solves. And then put in the same list, put a few expressions and words, phrases and words of what solution do you give. Choose 5 to 10 expressions that you think that most customers are talking about this problem, and start to look for them. Start to find out who is using what. How do we do that? We look for it in 3 places. First is Google. Put these expressions in Google. You can put it in apostrophes or without apostrophes and see what comes out. Which discussion are coming out? Which customers are talking about it? Okay? And then the second place is social media. Go to the different platforms, those platforms that your potential customers are hanging out in or hanging in, and try to find out whether there are groups that using these expressions to solve the problem. Try to find out according to the words, put it in the search boxes and look for these expressions that you made in the list to find out how your customers are talking about it. And the third place to look how people are talking about your problem is in questions and answer sites like Quora, like answer.com, Yahoo Answers, or there are some more, but one of the coolest is Answer the Public, which is a bit complicated site, but it's a fine one. So then put these expressions that you put in the list, these expressions that people are probably talking about the problem that you're solving, that's what you think, put them in the search box of these questions and answers sites, Quora, answers.com, Yahoo Answers, and see which questions are coming up. And also look at the answers. What you should do with that, then after you search Google and the social media places that your customers are hanging in, and you wrote and you look and questions and answer sites, and you wrote the 5 to 10 expressions that people might talk about the problem or the solutions that they are looking for the problem that you are solving, you will find the main words that people are using. From these words, and I'll talk about it in another place. I will also send to those of you who want and leave me a comment. I will send you some guide about that. But from these words, all the expressions that you find out, usually it's 2 or 3, that you find out that people are talking about your problem, you want to find out the 3 to 5 exact words that actually describe your products in a way that people will find you, in a way that will be a bit unique to you, one word that people are using, but not the very traditional words that all your competitors are using, to differentiate yourself from your competitors. And it should be a definition that you, at the a later stage, we can build a brand on this base. In this live talk, I talked about how to define your product or service in a way that will attract customers to you, because we know that the number one reason entrepreneurs say they fail for is that there is no market need, and we also know that there isn't a problem of market need, but the problem is that either entrepreneurs are not approaching the right customers, or they are not describing the product or service in words that the customers can um, can find them. So I talked about how to find the words that your customers are using and then make your definition. I'm Hayut. I'm entrepreneurial marketing expert. I would love hearing your comments. We are streamed all over Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, of course, and hopefully very soon LinkedIn as well. So join me. Join me next week, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Thursday. I'll be here every week, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Thursday. And I hope you are all, and you and your loved ones, will stay safe and healthy at these crazy times. And I wish you an excellent day. Bye bye.